Galactic showdown. In a fierce battle for survival, the Republic and Separatist armies have clashed in the distant SULLUST system. Count Dooku's most cunning assassin, Asajj Ventress, leads the vicious attack. In space above the planet Sullust, we find a fierce battle being fought between the forces of the Galactic Republic and the Separatist Alliance. Hundreds of starfighters from both sides were locked in fierce dogfights. In the middle of this fight, we find Asajj Ventress leading the attack on the Republic fleets. She flew in a Ginnevex-class starfighter. She flew it with the same grace that she used in her lightsaber combat. She was in close to one of the Republic ships, while being followed in formation by two groups, consisting of 3 droid fighters in each group. Trident Group 1. Attack the starboard engines, said Asajj, and watched the first group separate from the rest. Trident Group 2. Knock out their port shield generators, I'll go directly for their bridge. She then flew towards the bridge and started to shoot at it. However, it held out against her attacks. On the Republic ship, they were feeling the effects of the devastating attacks. The port side deflectors are gone, yelled one of the clones aboard of the cruiser that had been hit. He just felt the entire ship under his feet ring like a struck dog, and the solid, seemingly impenetrable bulkheads now felt as thin as paper to him, and as fragile. Meanwhile, Sereno, we find Count Dooku staring through the window in his palace as he was interrupted by the flashing button of a waiting holo call. The Count sat down in his chair, composed himself, and accepted the call. When the image cleared up from static, he saw an old man covered by robes, the upper part of his face concealed by a hood. There was no mistaking his master, Darth Sidious. Lord Tyrannus, spoke the Dark Lord of the Sith. My master, said the Count in response. There is a disturbance in the Force. Your assassin, she has become very powerful, he spoke in an eerie tone. Yes, my lord. She is quite important to me, said Count Dooku as he looked at his master, and he spoke in a voice that sounded like he was proud. It was, of course, hidden very well, so you had to know what you were looking for to even find it, but it was there. Too important, said the Dark Lord. Master. Dooku tried to protest, but was interrupted by Sidious. Silence. I can sense her powers growing stronger. I would hate to think you are training your own Sith apprentice to destroy me, said Sidious. Never. My allegiance is to you and you alone, said Dooku while bowing his head. Sidious gained a sinister smile as he spoke. Then you must prove it, eliminate her. Dooku was shocked at what his master said, and tried to protest. She's my most trusted, but he was just as quickly stopped by his master. I said eliminate her. Darth Sidious raised his voice. Dooku looked down in defeat. As you wish, my lord. Sullust. At that very moment, as the Count and his master were having their talks, Asajj was engaging the Jedi generals Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker in a fierce space battle. The conclusion of the battle was both of Asajj and Kenobi crashing inside a hangar of a Separatist dreadnought. Asajj was injured and was now calling her master for help that she thought she would receive. What she did not know was that she was about to receive the shock that would set her on a different path than she had ever imagined walking. Master, I need your help. Quickly, I'm surrounded, she said in between gasps of pain. You have already lost the battle. Child, I've ordered your reinforcements to return, said Dooku in a cold voice that shocked Asajj. No, I will destroy the Jedi, she said as she was trying to convince her master to not abandon her. I'll show you, she said with confidence in her voice, but it was crushed by the next words that the Count spoke. You have failed me for the last time. You are no longer my apprentice, he said as Ventress's eyes widened. And now, you shall die. With those words, he ended the transmission, leaving Asajj alone. Not far away, we find Anakin trying to save his master from his starfighter, which had a small fire burning close to the cockpit, causing the cockpit to fill up with smoke. Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, he yelled as he tried to pry open the cockpit. R2-D2 was also trying to help by putting out the fire. When the lid to the cockpit opened, R2 accidentally sprayed Obi-Wan with some of the extinguishing gas. Kenobi had a strange feeling that the droid did on purpose, but he put that to the back of his mind as he tried to make the droid stop. No, thank you. No thank you, R2. That's quite enough, he said as the droid finally stopped. As both Jedi regrouped, they saw Ventress exit her ship. Ventress, you're not looking well, said Kenobi with a smirk. She never does, remarked Anakin as he moved a bit closer to Obi-Wan in the hopes that Asajj would not hear him. You have failed, Ventress. Surrender, said Kenobi as he and Anakin activated their lightsabers and prepared for a fight. Never, yelled Asajj as she activated her own crimson blades and charged her opponents. While this was going on, aboard the cruiser next to the one that Asajj and the Jedi were battling on, we find a tactical droid talking to Count Dooku. Yes, my lord. Ventress is battling the Jedi on the command ship, it reported. Turn your guns on our command ship and open fire, said Dooku in a serious tone. But, my lord, I calculate that will destroy Ventress, the Jedi, and all our forces, it said. Precisely, said Dooku with an evil smirk on his face that showed he was serious about eliminating his former apprentice. The droid nodded to its master and began to relay the orders to the droids in battle. Just as the fight between Ventress and the two Jedi was about to finish, they were interrupted by a damaged droid bomber crashing into the hangar. Soon after that, the ship came under heavy fire by the ships that were supposed to be on its side. Kenobi saw that the ship was about to be destroyed, so he called Anakin. Anakin, we have to get out of here, he yelled. In response, Anakin nodded, and they both jumped into their fighters and flew off. Asajj had just enough time to get into her fighter and fly out of the hangar before it exploded behind her. The same tactical droid that ordered the attack could be found again talking to Count Dooku. Our scanning indicates there are no survivors, spoke the droid. Your work there is finished. Recall the fleet, said the Count. By your command, acknowledged the droid as the separatist fleets began to leave Sullust system. Sereno. Moments after a betrayal. Dooku could again be found in deep thought, staring out his window. He then turned around and walked to his desk and pressed a button that gave a call to his master. As the image again cleared up, he took a knee and spoke. Master, he said. What is it, Lord Tyrannus? Asked Sidious, as if he didn't already know. I have done as you've asked, Count Dooku said. Asajj Ventress is dead. Once again, you've proven your loyalty to me. As the communication turned off, the Count again looked at the window, wondering what the future held. However, what he did not know was that, for what he had just done, he would pay with something that he would rather not give. Korriban. While the battle raged, on the surface of the planet we can find the Sith Academy, standing strong once again, and if we were to enter it, we would see that it is fully operational. The statues again stood proud, representing the Sith that came before and also showing the long history of the Sith. As we travel to the upper levels, we can find the old room where the Dark Council would meet to talk about the future of the Sith Order. But what really interests us is the room behind the Council Chamber. That room was of a circular design. In it, we find all kinds of Sith artifacts, from simple tablets to holocrons of the most powerful Dark Lords. The dark side energy that radiated from them was enough to drive normal people, and some weak force users, insane, but for the man meditating in the middle of the room, it was as nurturing as oxygen. The man was sitting cross-legged, floating inches of the floor. He had long blonde hair and whisker marks on his face. The left side of his face was covered by a deep red tattoo. He wore armor with spikes on his shoulder, forearm and shin guards. This man was none other than the Sith apprentice of Count Dooku. Naruto was just about to delve even deeper into the black well that is the dark side when he sensed the anger, fury and despair of his friend and fellow Sith apprentice Asajj Ventress. As he tried to decipher the emotions that were assaulting his senses, he finally saw it. He saw a shadowy figure of a male with only two things visible, the hilt of a lightsaber that was strapped to the man's waist, and the cold look on his face. The problem was that he could not make out more than just the thin line that was the mouth, and the cold eyes of this person, thus the apparition's identity remained a mystery. But before Naruto could make out more, the image changed, and he could see two male figures that were standing in front of him, pointing their lightsabers at his neck. They were both covered in shadows, but were very different from each other. One of them was defined by a scar over his right eye, as well as his robotic right hand. The other one didn't have any distinctive features besides a beard on his face, but he was more defined by the aura he radiated. Peaceful, calm and relaxed, it made Naruto sick just thinking about it. However, just like the first image, they too quickly disappeared. They were replaced by a large explosion seemed it would never stop, until it suddenly did, and again faded into the shadows. The last vision Naruto saw was of a cockpit, and a pale hand covering a cracked window. With that final image, he awoke, and quickly ran out of his chamber towards the hangars of his fleet. On the way there, he saw Colt, and signaled him to follow, which the clone did without question. Once they'd reached the hangar, they boarded Naruto's personal cruiser, the Bloody Fox. As they went up to the bridge, Naruto was already giving out orders to the droids that were working on the ship. When they finally reached the bridge, Naruto sat in his command chair, while Colt stood at the side of it. "Set a course for the Sullust system, and make it quick, or else," said Naruto in a serious tone. The droids got to work fast. They knew that the only time their leader would use threats was when something had seriously pissed him off, or, well, that was about it, really. With the final calculations done, they jumped into hyperspace. In Sullust space, the embers of battle die. In the remains of the ships that were destroyed in the battle, we find a band of salvagers looking in hopes of finding parts that they may be able to sell and gain a profit. They were just about to reach the end when their searchlight shone on a destroyed fighter that had both its wings ruined, but since the cockpit was mostly intact, they decided to pick it up. As they put it in the cargo hold, they were preparing to leave, when they were interrupted by a separatist ship jumping out hyperspace. Panic spread aboard the salvager. They were about to run. They received a signal from the ship. "Attention vessel GS-100, 977-111. This is the Bloody Fox. Do not attempt to flee or you will be fired upon. You are to dock in our hangar while we inspect your cargo, and afterwards, you will be allowed to leave. Failure to comply will result in termination," said a voice of a droid over their comms, its voice menacing despite its flatness. With no other choice, the salvagers moved their ship towards the Bloody Fox. As they entered the hangar, they were surrounded by droids of different shapes and sizes. They offered no resistance when a team of 10 battle droids, plus 2 medical droids, entered the ship. Their attention was focused exclusively on the main doors to the hangar as they opened, and in walked 2 men, one wearing a set of strange, black clone armor, while the other wore armor with a lot of spikes. As the 2 came near them, the man in the spiked armor spoke. "Hello, gentlemen, I hope that it is not too much of a bother to help us. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and if you would just allow us to do what we came here to do, we will be on our way, and you will be sufficiently compensated," he said in a tone that sounded very nice. What surprised the salvagers was that the second man started to chuckle when the first one finished. After a while, the droids came from the ship, carrying an unconscious Asajj Ventress on a stretcher. Once they saw their leader, he nodded to them and they exited the hangar. With that, Naruto turned around and was about to leave, when one of the salvagers, a blue Twi'lek with goggles on his face, spoke. "Hey, you said we'd get paid. Well, where are the credits, then? We don't have all day." "Oh yes, your payment. Well, I have it right here, so let me give it to you," Naruto said with an audible smirk. The salvager moved closer and extended his arm, expecting Naruto to give him a handful of credits. However, what he did not expect was that his arm was no longer there. He stared, not comprehending how or why it had ended up on the floor, or why this Naruto guy was standing there with a blue lightsaber glowing by his side. The scavenger fell back, clutching the stump that was his arm, babbling his incomprehension. The other salvagers quickly tried to reach for their weapons, but before they could do so, they felt something tighten around their necks, cutting of their supply of oxygen. It was like a starship had landed on their throats. They were then lifted slowly of the ground. Naruto watched with a sadistic smile on his face as the salvagers were raised up toward the ceiling and the life slowly left their eyes. When he saw that they were about to pass out from lack of oxygen, he lifted his left arm and made a crushing motion with his fist. There was a sickening snap that echoed down the hangar as multiple necks were broken at the same time. At this, Naruto took a pleased sigh as he let loose a bit of his pent-up anger. While it was true that anger fueled Naruto's power, it was still a hindrance. He could still be affected by it, he could get sloppy if he let it take over. Naruto liked to use anger, but he intended to use it as a tool, not something that he would have to rely on all the time. "Ah, that feels much better," he said as he turned around to walk away. Then suddenly he tilted his head to the right, dodging a blaster bolt that was aimed for his head. He looked back to see the Twi'lek salvager holding a blaster pistol one-handed, a look of shock plastered on his face. When he saw Naruto looking at him, he quickly started to crawl away backwards, desperately trying to escape from the young Sith. Naruto, in turn, started to walk towards him at a slow, measured pace. He stepped on the salvager's back, stopping his pitiful attempt at escape. The Twi'lek desperately clawed at the metal ground with his good hand, trying to escape, but it was all in vain. He then resorted to the only thing he knew that could still work, begging. "Please, man, just let me go, and I won't trouble you any longer. Please, just let me go, show some mercy," he said, and even started to cry while he did so. "Oh, you want mercy after you tried to shoot me in the head, and you think I should give you mercy," said Naruto while pressing harder on the man's back with his foot. "Please, I'm sorry. Just, please let me go. I swear, you won't see me again. Please, just let me leave. But tell me, what would you do if our roles were reversed, and you were pointing a blaster at my head? Would you let me go, or would you just kill me? Please, just let me go." The Twi'lek was cut off as Naruto smashed his leg down on the Scavener's spine. "Answer the question. Oh, and please do keep in mind that your life depends on what you say. So, don't lie, I will know if you do," said Naruto as he ground his foot in. "Fine. I would have killed you without a second thought and I would have enjoyed it." The Twi'lek yelled. "Now let me go." "Well, you just gave yourself my answer," said Naruto as he activated his blue lightsaber. At this, the scavenger started to panic and squirm, but it was for nothing, as Naruto's foot was still on his back. Naruto then did a quick downward slash, and the scavenger's head rolled of his body. "Could someone clean this up and throw the bodies out the airlock?" he said as he stepped off the corpse and walked away, Colt following close behind. They left the bridge and made straight for the medical bay. As they came in, they saw a couple of medical droids lying on the ground in pieces. At this, Naruto shook his head and was a little angry. He hated losing his toys. When he looked around, he saw Asajj sitting on a medical bed, talking to a surviving medical droid. "Really, Asajj, you just had to destroy my droids. I know that you're angry, but take it out on the enemy, not my stuff," he said in an annoyed tone. "I'm sorry if I'm a little ticked of that our master betrayed me and I got blown up," Asajj said through gritted teeth, "so sorry for your stupid droids." Naruto was at first shocked, but then gained a look of anger on his face. "Tell me everything, and do not spare any detail," he said in a serious tone that told Ventress she had little choice, so she told him everything that had happened. "So that is when I woke up, and you know the rest," she concluded. To her shock, Naruto did something that was really out of the ordinary for him. He started to radiate pure dark side energy, and all around him, highly expensive medical equipment sprayed sparks and crumbled inward, crushed into mangled heaps. After a moment, after he calmed down and got his anger under control, he looked at Asajj and spoke again. "What will you do now that you're presumed dead?" "I will go to Dathomir to seek out my clan, and see from there. But know this, I will have my revenge on Dooku, that I swear." "Well, at least you are still the same Asajj I met all those years ago. Good luck, and when you are ready, I have a ship in the hangar for you. It may not be much, but it is yours," he said as he started to walk away, but was stopped by Asajj, who put a hand on his shoulder. "And where are you going?" "Why, I'm going to have a chat with the man calling himself our master," he said as he left towards the hangars, leaving behind a shocked Ventress. When he reached the hangars, he saw Colt already waiting there with R3, who was already strapped to his ship. "I thought you would like to have your ship prepared when you were done talking to General Ventress, sir," said Colt. "You know me too well, Colt, and thank you," said Naruto. "Once Ventress leaves, you are to leave for Korriban and wait for my return, is that understood?" he asked the clone, who in response nodded. "With everything said, Naruto climbed into his ship and flew from the hangar. As he was preparing for hyperspace, R3 started to beep. "We are going to Sereno to pay my master a visit and have a talk," said Naruto, answering the droid's question. The droid then made some more noises that sounded like it was worried, but Naruto eased its mind. "Don't worry, it'll be fine," he said as they jumped into hyperspace towards the Sith Master. Sereno, the heart of the Sith. As Naruto's ship came out of hyperspace, he saw his master's, Onda used the term very lightly, home planet. While the planet was very beautiful, Naruto knew that his master used it only to make Sidious's plans come true. As he landed his ship in front of the palace that belonged to Count Dooku, he jumped out of his cockpit and was immediately confronted by 6 IG-100 Magna Guards. They pointed their weaponry at him and spoke in binary, asking him what he was doing here, and informing him that he did not have an appointment and he was not scheduled to see the Count. Naruto, however, had no patience to talk to these guards, and with a crushing motion of his hand, he destroyed all of them all. He then walked towards the palace at a slow pace. Once he entered, he was met by a squad of 14 battle droids, who all pointed their blasters at him. The droid in front of the group spoke. "Surrender, or you will be termined." It never finished the sentence, as it was cut down by Naruto's blue lightsaber. The two halves were then sent at the other droids, thanks to a force push from Naruto. Before they could regroup, he had already ignited his other lightsaber, and had cut down half of their ranks, and in another couple of seconds, the rest joined them. With that done, Naruto continued to walk towards Dooku, all the while cutting down any droids that got in his way. As he reached the doors that lead to the Count's office, he gathered some strength, and released a powerful force push that sent the doors flying and crashing through the window. When he walked in, he saw Dooku standing in front of his desk that had been cut in half by the doors on their way out the window. "Hello, Master," Naruto snarled. "We need to have a talk. It hardly seems appropriate for my apprentice to destroy my home and my droids just to talk. If it was important, there is still the HoloNet to contact me," said Dooku imperiously, while emphasizing that Naruto was still his apprentice. "Don't play games, Dooku. You know why I am here, and you better have a damn good reason for what you did to Ventress, or we'll have a problem." "Oh, my former apprentice. Well, she was too weak, and I decided to cut my losses and go with my other apprentice." "You should be flattered. That was the worst lie that I've ever heard, and I once heard a Hutt say that he did not care for money," said Naruto as his anger began to spike, but he got it under control. "I know the reason why you did what you did, and it is because your precious master told you to do so. And you are such a toothless worm that you can't stand up to him. For as much as you tell everyone that you are more powerful than any Jedi, you are still the same little Jedi that follows a code that is stupid and illogical." Naruto would have continued, but he was stopped when Dooku did something that was very unlike him. He charged at Naruto, moving impossibly fast for such an old man, and attacked him with his lightsaber, but Naruto was prepared, and blocked it by using his own blue blade. "Oh, looks like I hit a nerve there. Does it anger you that I called you a Jedi, or is it perhaps that I called you a slave?" Dooku in response just started to attack even more, but even his elegant dueling style could not get through Naruto's defense. Dooku then went for a lunge, but Naruto dodged to the right, and then, when Dooku converted his attack into a sideways slash, the young Sith did a corkscrew over the weapon, and when he was directly over the weapon, so that the blade could almost touch his nose, he slammed his feet into the Count's chest, using it as a springboard, sending Dooku flying. Naruto did a couple of flips in the air, then landed on his feet in a crouch while Dooku did same, but Naruto could see that the hit had hurt the Count. Naruto then decided to go on the offensive. "Well, since the warm-up is over, how about we get this party started for real?" As he said that, he took the mask that was strapped to his belt and put it on his face. As the mask stuck to his face, the visor started to glow a deep blood red. With that, Naruto charged towards Dooku, activating his second lightsaber. He jumped into the air, then used the force from the fall for an overhead slash. Dooku blocked the attack, but his knees noticeably buckled under the force of the attack. Naruto, when he saw that the Count's feet were not stable, used this and kicked the Dooku in the back of the knee, forcing him onto his knees. Then Naruto went for a decapitating strike, but he was set flying by Dooku's force push. As he got up, he saw the Count also standing there. "Oh, so it's a force battle now? Well, by all means, then. Bring it on," yelled Naruto. He got no verbal response from Dooku. What he got in the way of action instead was this: the Count shot lightning from his fingertips. However, Dooku was shocked when Naruto simply caught his lightning in his hands with Tudaminis, and then, before the Count could react, he was shot with his own lightning. As he fell back and crashed into his already destroyed desk, he saw from the corner of his eye as Naruto was falling towards him, his lightsabers poised to strike. However, before Naruto could kill his master, he was stopped by two electro staffs. As he looked at who had stepped in to stop him from finishing the job, he saw that there were two Magna guards at Dooku's side, and he could see four more coming in behind him, getting ready for an attack. The Count used the distraction to get some distance from his apprentice. He moved up the staircase to the side where he exited to another room, but not before giving one final order to the guards: kill him. He has gone against his master, and for that, he shall die. Seems that a cowardly master makes for the cowardly apprentice. I must be lucky as it seems to not have been passed to me, said Naruto as he stared down the Magna guards that were all around him. Well, it seems that we have a problem. There are 6 of you and 1 of me. That hardly seems fair. For you I think you will need more droids, especially if you're dumb as the factory ones. Just as he was done talking, he saw that from the door that he had destroyed came 20v1 battle droid, 10 super battle droid, and 5 droideka. When a normal person or even a Jedi would have seen this, they would have been worried, which they would have had all right to do so. However, Naruto was not a normal person, he was anything but normal. Naruto gained a sadistic smile on his face as he spoke. That's more like it, he said as he charged at the droids. The droids opened fire, but he skillfully dodged some bolts while he used the Magna guards as a shield for the others. As the droids stopped firing for a moment, they saw Naruto standing there, the Magna guards sprawled at his feet. As he looked at his back and saw that his cloak had smoking holes in it, he got an annoyed look behind his mask, then turned back to face the assembled droids. You ruined my cloak. I was going to play with you, but now you've made me mad, he said. He then extended his hand towards the droids and released a powerful torrent of red Sith lightning, frying the droids instantaneously. With that done, he went to follow his not yet former master. He found the old man outside, trying to board his personal ship. Before he could, Naruto used the force to throw him into one of the walls of the palace, and then he used a powerful push to send the ship off the edge to fall into the forest below. As he turned around to face Dooku, there was a giant explosion that illuminated his back, making it look as if the fire was about to consume him. Naruto saw the Count rising slowly. However, he could see that he'd done some damage. Ready for round 2, Master? Asked Naruto as he activated his lightsabers in a reverse grip. You arrogant little brat. I will teach you to respect your elders, and when I defeat you, you will obey me to the letter. Respect is earned, not given, Dooku. I had a lot of respect for you once, but now I see nothing more than an old man who is a slave to a Sith pretender. With that said, Naruto again charged the Count. Their blades met, and they were in a deadlock. However, Naruto did something that surprised the Count. He moved a little to the right and, when Dooku pushed forward to get past Naruto's defense, that was when Naruto deactivated his lightsabers and moved even more to the side, thus allowing Dooku to pass him harmlessly by. When the Count was about to turn around to strike at his apprentice, Naruto jumped and did a backflip over his master. Then, when he was coming back down, he kicked Dooku in the back of the head, sending him to the ground and knocking his lightsaber out of his hand. Dooku was slowly getting up when Naruto stepped on his chest, pressing his breath out of his chest. The Count looked to the side to see his lightsaber, and when he was about to reach for it with the force, it suddenly shot into Naruto's open hand. Did you want this, Master? Asked Naruto with a smirk. I could have sworn you were reaching for it. Spare me your games, just finish it. Do as the Sith before you have done and kill your master, and take your place as a true Sith. Dooku spat back. Dooku was again surprised as Naruto started to laugh. When he finally calmed down, he spoke. Oh no, I won't kill you, since I still owe you for saving my life. So after today, consider us even, he said as he turned around to leave, but then he stopped, quickly turned around again, and activated Dooku's own lightsaber and used it to cut off the Count's legs at the knees. As the Count screamed, Naruto spoke. That is for Asajj, and he thought, I leave the rest to you, my friend. Korriban, the grave of the Sith. Naruto landed in the hangars of his fleet and, as soon as he got out of the cockpit, he was immediately tackled down by a black blur. It then started lick his face while Naruto tried to make it stop. Snips. Stop. Girl, Stopium, that is enough. said Naruto as he finally got the now named snips off of him. When he stood up, he started to pet her and, out of the corner of his eyes, he saw Colt approach him. When the clone trooper was close enough, he saluted perfunctorily. "Welcome back, sir. I hope your talk with the Count went well," said Colt. "Yes, Colt. My master and I had a very deep talk about what happened to Asajj, and he was kind enough to give me his lightsaber," he said, showing Colt the Count's weapon. Naruto was about to continue when he was interrupted by a strong presence in the dark side appear before him. He wore a full-body red-gray armor with a hood over his head, 2 spikes on each shoulder, and a helmet that concealed his face. He had a glowing blue outline that showed that he was not amongst the living. He held his hands behind his back and gave off an aura of power. Naruto smiled at the ghost. "Hello, Darth Mar, how goes search?" he said. "Have you found anything of interest, or did you just want to chat? While I do enjoy our talks about the dark side of the Force, this is not a social visit. I have found something that might interest you," spoke the now identified Darth Mar. "Then let us hear it. If you came, then it must be important. After all, you are one of my best spies." Colt stood on the sidelines, watching with a weird look on his face as he saw his leader talking with no one. Sir, not to interrupt, but who are you talking to?" asked Colt. "It's a Force ghost. You can't see him, since you aren't Force sensitive, but get 3 droid cruisers ready, and tell Val to be prepared for battle. I have a feeling we have a battle on our hands," said Naruto. He watched Colt leave, then turned to Mar. "Now, tell me what you found." "I have found the engine we talked about. It appears that it is hidden on the snow-covered planet of Ordo Plutonia that is inhabited by the Talls," said the former Dark Council member. If my memory serves me, that is under Republic control, and it would be a bother if the Republic were to interfere. While it is true that it is under the Republic, they have left the planet under the control of the Talls, as all the clones have been reassigned to the front lines. Well, that makes things a lot easier, and we can perhaps even gain allies in the Talls. They are a tribal species, said Naruto as he took on a thoughtful expression. Well, then it's settled. We will go there and try to make the best of it, and if all else fails, then we'll at least get the engine. I assume that you know where it's located. Darth Mar nodded and disappeared, while Naruto prepared to leave. He was stopped by a battle droid that came running towards him. As he looked at the droid, he asked what it wanted. "Sir, it appears that a Jedi starfighter has come out of hyperspace and is heading right here," it said. I think I know who it is. Let her land, but have the tanks at the ready. Once she lands, use them to surround her, and then wait for me," said Naruto as he and Snips went to ready Naruto's fighter for the trip in the battle. The droid, left alone, relayed the word to the others. Korriban High Orbit. A red Jedi fighter with a white stripe down the middle jumped out of hyperspace and detached itself from its hyperspace ring that allowed it to travel long distances. It then flew towards the planet, heading towards the Academy of the Sith, and prepared to land not far from the stairs that lead up to it. Once it landed, the pilot jumped out of the cockpit. The person had a robe that concealed its identity. The only thing that let it be known was that it was female. As soon as she stepped on the sand-covered ground, she felt a tremor, and out of the ground came 2 Umbaran crawler tanks that pointed all their weapons at her. She reached for her weapon, but her hand stopped at the sight of red dots dancing on multiple parts of her body. She knew that she had no way to get out of this, thus, she held her hands up in surrender. She then heard someone clapping. As she turned towards the entrance of the academy, she saw none other than Naruto and Snips making their way to where she had landed. "It seems that you finally made the choice to become more powerful and gain freedom from the bonds you have in the Jedi Order, or is it something else?" Shakti asked Naruto as he walked towards her. Shakti removed her hood, letting free her montrals and head tails, and looked at Naruto. "You are right, I wish to be free. As I watched around the Jedi Temple, I saw that not being able to feel emotions, or have attachments, has weakened us. Also, I have seen that we are slowly becoming nothing more than tools of war to the Republic. I want to choose what I am, and if I am to be a tool of war, I want it to be on my terms. So, with that said, I am ready to learn, Master." As she spoke the last word, she went on one knee and bowed her head. She was surprised, However, when she felt Naruto pull her up and look her straight into her eyes. Rise, Shakti. I do not want a slave. I want an apprentice that will stand by my side and have my back, and once she is done learning, be a Sith that I can be proud of. You will learn from me, and once I deem you worthy of the title of Sith, you will begin to study on your own to improve yourself. However, until then, you will do as I say, and I guarantee that once I am done with you, no Jedi or Sith will be able to stop you. But know this, if you do not learn well, and learn quickly, you will be left behind. One more thing. I do not tolerate arrogance, and you will be punished harshly if you fail to understand this. Shakti nodded at Naruto, who smiled in response and walked by her while speaking. Then come. We have work to do, he said, and Shakti followed along with sniffs. They walked towards the hangars, and Shakti was shocked at the size of Naruto's food. Naruto saw this and smiled privately, but continued to be silent. As they reached the Bloody Fox, they saw Colt and Ken Val standing there with 10 Wookiee soldiers, all wearing traditional Wookiee armor. When Naruto saw them, he smiled and looked at Colt. Ah, Colt, it seems that the Kaminoans sent our first elite Solider unit. Are they any good? Yes, sir. They've been trained with your expectations in mind. There were originally 50 of them, but the rest died due to not being able to cut it. Seems they were not properly grown. Colt would have continued, had it not been for Shakti jumping in. Wait, Colt, as in, Commander Colt. I thought you died on Kamino, she said. Colt looked at Shakti and gained a surprised look on his face. General T, what are you doing here? Ah, so you've decided to join. Well, it's good to have you on board. I hope you survived the training. You were one of the generals that I respected the most, he said. Shakti nodded with a smile, even if it was a bit awkward, at the thought of the training, but she now understood that Naruto had convinced Colt to join him. She then looked at the other person there, and saw Ken Val. What, Adachi, you were able to convince a great warrior like him to follow you, even though they are known to devour any Force user they come upon. I like her, she knows to respect me. I will not devour her today, spoke Ken Val in his native tongue. You like anyone that tells you you're powerful, Ken, said Naruto with deadpan look, which got a giggle from Shakti. Let's just go and get what we need, continued the young Sith Lord. With that said, they boarded the Bloody Fox and the fleet took off, 3 Sith ships following close behind them as they disappeared into hyperspace. Aboard the Bloody Fox we find Naruto sitting on the bridge while Shakti, Ken Val and Colt stood next to him. He was thinking of a plan that would allow him to get the best game outcome. His train of thought was interrupted by his apprentice speaking up. Master, I was wondering, where did you get the Wookiees, as last I checked, they were in an alliance with Republic. Asked Shakti. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Well, my apprentice, they are clones. They were grown and trained to become part of my new empire. But master, I thought that clones needed at least 10 years to be grown. If you have them now, you would have had to start at least 10 years before the start of the war, and where did you even get the DNA for them? For starters, I got the DNA from Kamino, where we fought. Also, I did not start cloning them 10 years ago, but quite recently, actually, and with some help I was able to accelerate the aging process, and also stop it when they were fully grown. But how? Shakti would have continued, had it not been for Naruto raising his hand. All will be revealed in due time, my apprentice. For now, get ready. We are about to jump out of hyperspace, and I sense that we will have another fight on our hands. Just as he said, they came out of hyperspace right into the middle of a fleet of 6 Republic cruisers. When Shakti saw this, she started to panic, yet she quickly saw that everyone else was calm. Master, why are you all so calm? This is a battle we cannot hope to win. We are outnumbered and we will get destroyed. She yelled. No, we will not. They can't destroy us when they can't even get past our hull, said Naruto simply. What do you mean by that? Just watch and you will know. Shakti had her doubts, but listened to her new master. She was not disappointed, as she saw the Republic cruisers fire upon them, yet they received no damage. She saw that the laser just could not even scratch the surface of the ship. How was that possible? What alloy or metal could withstand? Her train of thought was interrupted by Naruto speaking. Okay, now I want the signal jammers up, and don't let anyone escape. Board as many of the ships as you can and take them over. I can sense that there are no Jedi aboard, so you will not have any problems. Commander Colt, you are in charge while we head to the planet. With that, Naruto turned and walked off the bridge, Shakti and Kem Val following in his wake. They headed to the hangars, where they were greeted by the 10 Wookiees that were waiting for them. Naruto nodded to them and walked towards a Republic low-altitude assault transport that, like all his prizes, had a red fox painted on it. They entered it and flew towards the planet's surface while 2 droid transports followed close behind. Once they reached ground level, they landed near the coordinates that Naruto had given, and once they walked out, they were immediately surrounded by 200 clone soldiers and 5 Jedi. "Surrender, Sith," said the leader of the Jedi. "Why do you people always say that? Does it ever work? But anyway, can you at least tell me your names?" "Very well. Sith. Know that I am Jedi Master Joshua Alexis, and these are my fellow Jedi Knights Cal Sterling, Hannah Elatar, Horus Vigil and Leodra Nair." Naruto considered his foes. Joshua Alexis was a human and appeared to be in his late 60s if the gray hair was any indication. He had green eyes and a long beard that reached to his stomach. He wore a standard snow suit from the Republic. He also had a single-bladed lightsaber that had an orange color to its blade. Cal Sterling was a mammal-like creature, with the head of a hippopotamus or rhinoceros, a small body and elephant feet. He wore a dark brown robe and had the hood over his head while some of his hair fell over his face. He had a single-bladed lightsaber with a blue blade. What were they called again? Oh, yes, Shevin, Naruto remembered. Hannah Elatar, by contrast, had a long, curved neck and a T-shaped head with eyes at the ends. An Ithorian, she wore standard Jedi armor that had been modified to fit her species' body type. She had a double-bladed lightsaber that was a slick design, and it had yellow blades. Horus Vigil was a green-skinned Rhodian with large round eyes and a slender snout. He was of average build, and his long slender fingers gripped a blue saber. His Jedi robes were made for colder environments. Leodra Nair was a slender Nautolan with smooth blue skin and large, dark maroon eyes. She also had multiple tentacles protruding from the back of her head. She wore a standard snow suit from the Republic, and had 2 basic lightsabers, one green and one blue. "Okay. At least I'll know who I'm killing," Naruto said. "Kem, who'll you take?" "I will take the mammalian. He will be a nice meal for me, since it has been so long since I have fed properly," said Kem Val. "Okay. Then, apprentice, you will take the Rhodian, while I take on the old man and the Nautolan. And yes, I didn't actually bother remembering your names," he said, while Shakti nodded and moved towards her target, and Kem did the same. "Aren't you forgetting something? There are 5 of us, and you forgot about Knight Elatar. She will assist us, and we also have an army of soldiers at our back," said Master Alexis, but he was interrupted by Naruto disappearing. They searched for him, and Master Alexis suddenly felt something through the force and, his eyes wide, he turned towards his fellow Jedi, Hannah Elatar. "Elatar, watch OU," and that was when a red blade came from the Ithorian Jedi's chest. All the Jedi watched as the red blade was torn from their friend's chest and as the life left her eyes. The body of the Jedi fell onto the snow, and they saw the Sith Lord there, with his mask on and the hood over his head and his crimson red curved blade glowing in his right hand. "Now let's get rid of this army," he said. With that he raised his left hand, and all the clones started to be lifted off the ground. They started to claw at their necks trying to get off whatever was robbing them of the precious oxygen that their lungs needed so desperately. Before the Jedi could react, Naruto had already closed his fist and snapped the clones' necks. They all fell to the earth in a shower of bodies, as if the clouds had opened up and released a rain of corpses instead of water. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. We were about to battle. He then used the force to pull his 2 opponents towards him, while his companions charged towards their own. Kem Val's battle. Kem stared down his opponent as he activated his giant vibroblade. He looked at the Jedi and saw that, even thought it looked weak, it hid some of its skill. "Please surrender, monster. I would like to avoid killing the last of someone's kind, so I will give you one chance to give up and come quietly," said Cal Sterling. "Foolish Jedi. I will devour you and grow stronger. Now come so I may fist on your flesh," yelled Kem in response. "Very well. You leave me no choice. Sterling would have continued, had not Kem appeared before him and almost chopped him in half. The large Shavinian Jedi had to use all of his flexibility to dodge Kem's attack. This went on for a couple of minutes, with the Jedi dodging at the last possible moment each time as Kem pursued him relentlessly. Cal Sterling knew that he could not keep this up for much longer, and knew that he needed to go on the offensive. He used the Force to push Kem back a few feet. The Dashade's Force resistance did not allow more, and charged at Kem. As he went for an overhead strike, he saw that Kem had a look on his face that could be considered a smirk, and when the blades met, Cal found out why. As soon as his lightsaber struck Kem Val's blade, it short-circuited and turned off. The momentary shock of the Jedi Knight was all Kem needed, as with a quick delivered slash the Jedi fell to the ground, dead. "Weak Jedi, you thought you could defeat me, and now I will feast on your flesh," said Kem as he started to devour his enemy. Shaak Ti's battle. Shaak Ti looked straight in Oris Vigil's eyes as he stared at her. His Rhodian face had a look of confusion as he watched Shaak Ti. "Master, why would you join a monster like Uzumaki? He's killed hundreds of people and he does everything for himself," yelled the young Jedi. "You are wrong about him. He's shown me the flaw at the heart of the Jedi Order, shown me that we'd all become nothing but tools of war to the Republic, not the peacekeepers we thought we were. I saw that the Republic is corrupt, and not worth saving. I saw it was destined to fall, just like you are," said Shaak Ti in a cold tone. The young Jedi attacked the former Jedi Master in rage, and when he was close in, he went for an overhead strike. It was a move straight out of the practice yard at the Jedi Temple, and Shaak Ti blocked it with practiced ease. This went on, with the Oris attacking and Shaak Ti defending. Once they put some space between them, Shaak Ti spoke. "I grow tired of this. You are not at my level. I will finish this now." Suddenly, she disappeared and reappeared in front of the young Jedi. She then used her mastery of lightsaber combat to disarm her opponent, literally. Oris Vigil had a brief glimpse of the stumps at the end of his arms, the wounds neatly cauterized shut, then Shaak Ti knocked him out with a blow from the hilt of her lightsaber to his forehead. She then used the Force to pick up both his lightsaber and Vigil himself. She then moved towards her master location. The Dark Side Fox's battle. Naruto looked at his opponents and smiled. This smile was not of one that is happy for a wholesome reason. No, this was a true sadistic smile from a person who loved to battle. "Well, since there are two of you, I guess that I'll need a special lightsaber for this, and since I don't feel like using any of the ones you already know of, here it is, my new original lightsaber," said Naruto as he pulled out the hilt of something that looked like a double-bladed lightsaber, or a saber staff. They saw that it was completely black and had 4 spikes at each end. But something seemed wrong about it. The central chamber that should have housed a lightsaber crystal was exposed, and the Jedi could easily see that there was no crystal inside. The younger of the two smirked and spoke. "I admit that you are very good at crafting lightsaber. However, you forgot a small detail. You need a crystal to power it. You must be dumber than a Gungan." Ha! 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 She laughed at the young Sith. However, she stopped when he spoke. "How very true," Naruto drawled. "But you know, I just so happen to have a crystal right here, and I'm sure everyone's dying to say what color it is," he said as he pulled Tsunade's crystal off his neck and slid it into the chamber of his lightsaber. Then he activated it, and out came 2 black blades with a white glow surrounding them. The 2 Jedi were shocked that the Sith possessed such a unique crystal. They were in for another surprise, as Naruto suddenly vanished in front of their very eyes, and they found they could no longer feel his presence in the Force. "Back to back, now. Keep your senses open to the slightest anomaly," shouted the experienced Joshua Alexis as he moved closer towards the young knight. "Very well, Master," said Liadra Nair while she went into a defensive stance. In the shadows, Naruto observed the 2 Jedi and was thinking of a way to defeat them. Of course, he could just stab them when they weren't looking, but where was the fun in that? Let's see. I could fight them straightforward, but I already did that with Dooku, so how should I do this? Ah, I know. How about I just use a bit of the madness that is the dark side to make them do what I want? He gained a sadistic look behind his mask and moved closer to the young Nautolan Jedi. When he was close enough, his hand glowed a dark red color, and he waved his hand towards the young Jedi. Liadra suddenly lost focus, as the dark presence of the dark side reached her mind. She tried to shake it off, and she seemed to have got herself back under control when she turned around and saw that her master was lying on the ground, dead, hacked into pieces, while Naruto stood over him with his black blade active. She was shocked, but her momentary hesitation was quickly replaced by hatred. Screaming her outrage, leapt at the young Sith. They waged a fierce battle and she used every trick she knew to strike the Sith down, beating at his guard, weakening him, forcing him to give ground before the power of her rage. As their blades clashed, she saw that she was whining, that the Sith was tiring, unable to keep up with the fierceness of her attack, and with a last powerful lunge she was finally able to get inside the Sith murderer's guard, and she plunged her two blades straight through Naruto's chest. Now you die, Sith. Master Joshua Alexis's death is avenged. She yelled at the top of her voice, grinning fiercely as she drank in the look of despair in the eyes of the monster who killed the man she had secretly loved. That was when everything went wrong. The world suddenly shifted, as if she stepped across the border of a dream and into reality, and she was staring in the eyes of Master Alexis himself. As she looked down, she saw that she had plunged her lightsabers into the heart of the Master instead of the Sith she had been so certain was there. She quickly pulled out her blades and caught the Master's body. She then began to shed tears while she cradled him against her. No, Master, don't die. Please, don't die. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to kill you. I thought that it was the Sith. Please don't die. She continued to cry. She suddenly felt a presence behind her, as cold as ice water down her back. She saw, though tear-streaked eyes, that it was the Sith that she thought she killed. The Sith that was very much alive and unharmed. Don't cry, Jedi, Naruto said, grinning the way a fox grins at a hen. You will be together again very soon, but I do wonder, what happened? You suddenly started to shake your head, and then your eyes turned yellow and you just attacked the Master. He did try to stop you. He even tried to talk to you, pleaded with you, but you just kept on charging, not even listening to his words. Liadra swore she could feel the Sith's cannibal smile radiating straight through that mask and into her head as he kept speaking. I guess he just couldn't bring himself to hurt you. He must have loved you very much, and that is why you struck him down. You did this. You made me kill my master. She yelled while more tears fell from her eyes. No, I simply gave you a push in that direction. You did the rest by yourself. The young Nautolan was so angry that she readjusted her lightsabers and was about to attack, but before she could even turn around, Naruto had already brought down his lightsaber and cut her head off her body. As she fell, Naruto used the force to bring her and the Master's blades into his hands and strapped them to his waist. As he turned around, he saw his companions arriving at his location. He also saw that Shakti had brought the Rodian back with her, floating beside her in a force grip, and that while he was helpless, he was still alive. What is this, apprentice? Why is the Jedi alive and not dead? I saw no point in killing him, Master. He is useless without his hands, so there is no point in killing him, said Shakti simply. Ah, but you're thinking like a Jedi again, Shakti, and you are training to become a Sith. And that is not the Sith way. Remember the Sith code. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me. You must kill him so that you will gain the passion of the kill, and through that, you will be able to gain strength, and so on. Now kill him. Do not offer him a prayer, or wish for him to join the Force, just think of yourself so that you may grow stronger. Very well, Master, said Shakti as she walked towards the unconscious Jedi, activating her lightsaber and then with one quick stroke cut off his head. Very good, apprentice. Now, let us go find what we came for. Master, here is the lightsaber that I took off the Jedi. What do you want me to do with it? Do as you wish. It represents your first kill as a Sith, my apprentice. Keep it as a trophy, or use it in battle, but keep it always as a remainder of your first real kill. With that they walked towards the location of the engine and of the talls. To be continued. Okay, I've done chapter 10. It's a bit longer than my usual ones, but I hope you enjoyed it. We have Naruto versus Dooku, Shakti joining Naruto, and a lot of fights. Also, I now have Naruto making some progress in his conquest. And since I know most of you will ask, Naruto is still with the Sith, as he still needs a cover, and also, Dooku may be the leader, but he cannot actually do anything, because Naruto brings results, and the people know this, so he can't easily frame him or tell them he simply died. He would lose support from the people, since they would know that Naruto is tough and wouldn't just die. Also, thank you, Patriota1993, for giving me the idea for the engine, Darth Mar, and taking the time to write me some of your ideas. If any of you have any ideas, please tell me and I will see if they can be added into the story. It's after all a fanfiction, so the fans can give ideas. One more thing. I had Naruto get a lot of lightsabers, so you can decide which one he should use primarily, so write and tell me. And you can also choose a name for Naruto's starfighter ship.